Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicte, and I'm feeling chill.
And I'm Benedikt. Today is June 24th. This is episode number 224. Hey, that's nice. And I'm feeling confused because this doesn't look like a boat. You're not on a boat,
Not a boat.
are you?
This is a very messy corner of my house that is being refurbished or rebuilt. We jumped ship in Kiel on Saturday, and we arrived home on Sunday because it takes about 11 days of nonstop sailing. Well, we didn't sail through the night to get to Kiel, and then it takes a day to get back on the ferry.
Well, one is much more environmentally friendly than the other, so there's that.
There's that. Absolutely. No, it's like most people are like, what happened? And no, like major drama. It was just not the trip that we had envisioned, which would be, slow and steady. Pun intended.
Right.
And all about exploration and taking your time and just wiring down and as Ola says, like if you want to get somewhere fast, like do anything but a sailboat. Like sailboat is
Right.
absolutely the slowest way to get anywhere. Like there, it's environmentally friendly, but if you want to get somewhere fast, like you can walk or you can take a plane, bicycle, like, basically anything. But we arrived, and like in the beginning, I realized, it's nice to like get out of the Oslo fjord. So we started with, I think, about 5 hours of sailing. And then the next day was 11 hours of sailing. And then we had about 6 hours. And then it was usually between 8 and 10 hours every day. And for the people who haven't sailed, if you're by the coastline, it's pretty chill. You can go, below deck and like do things and work. I had some nice, photos on the socials of me working while we were sailing. But when you're in open waters, that can be pretty hard depending on the weather, because it gets pretty choppy, and depending on where the winds are coming from and the waves, you can't really. And I knew that going in, like I can't really work in while sailing. You have to kind of work when you're in harbor, or if you're lucky, like you're doing like a slower leg, you could do some work. But with sailing 8 to 11 hours a day, you get into harbor, then you have to dock. And if you need new food or shop anything, you have to find that, have to make dinner. And then you want to do a little bit of exploration. So I think we like headed to bed at like 11 midnight almost every day. And then it was back to sailing at 6 a.m. So that was a little too intense for us. And, we voiced that, or Ula voiced that for us. But it kept on going, and we just, no hard feelings. Like if that's the trip you want to have, we can just jump ship. We're not forced to be on there. And that's what I always said, like when we were talking about it too, like if it doesn't work out, we can just fly home. And I guess we didn't fly, but we took the ferry home. So the captain and a couple of other people kept going, and I hope they have the time of their lives. But I'm here for like chillaxing, and that's absolutely what I'm going to get this summer, because we cleared our schedules, right? And I was only going to work about 40% or less, and that hasn't changed. And there is a super funny EU story that complements this, and that is that I lost some of my mommy leave way back when because of a technical issue that I was so embarrassed about that I didn't tell anyone except one of my best friends, like years after. Turns out I wasn't the only one that got hit by that kind of little technical thing, where if you were going to postpone part of your leave, you had to apply to postpone. Even though you're entitled to all the leave, you had to like apply to postpone within a certain deadline. Otherwise, you lost the rest of your days. So I lost about 30 days. And there was this big blow up. It was taken to the EU court. The EU court was like, nope, you can't just take people's leave away because they didn't fill out the correct form. So you could send in a claim. About a year ago, I sent in a claim. It got denied because I didn't take the mommy leave. And I was like, well, I didn't take the mommy leave because I didn't get, approved, and I couldn't take unpaid leave. And then there was like this weird paragraph, but I understood it to be like, if you have a real chance to take mommy leave now, or like take your parental leave now, because this mostly actually happened to the dads, but anyway, you could like apply. So I complained with my accountant, and I was going to go off on a, we had organized our whole summer to actually have all of those days off. And a week ago, I was approved. So I am getting 30 days of mommy
Nice.
leave with my 10-year-old this summer. So it all kind of colluded into like, it's going to be an awesome summer. Just like I remember them from my childhood, right? Where the summer is just open. We just stay at home. We can do little adventures, but Lillian can like, run over to her friends, and we can just like do nothing really, which was kind of what we in a way wanted to do on the sailboat, but also explore, but also that feeling of kind of just like having time, right? So I think it's going to be a great summer.
That is quite an unexpected turn of events overall, but sounds like you've either made your peace with it, if that's even the right expression for the situation. But it sounds like this might not be a bad summer after all. Maybe not the original plan, but sounds pretty great to me.
I mean, if we talk in SaaS terms, we just did a pivot. We just pivoted. We didn't change the vision or the goal of our summer. We just pivoted.
Yep, it's just a different approach this time.
But I'm really happy that we are a family where Ula was like, okay, this isn't serving us. We want to leave, and we left, instead of being like, okay, we said we were going to do this. We are going to like keep on going at all expense just to show everyone there were a lot of people who were like, this is never going to work. And they were right. And you could come home and like feel embarrassed. Like I've met so many neighbors. They're like, what are you like? You're not supposed to be here. And then, I was like, go through the story, and, and some people are like, it's good to, and we have a saying in Norwegian where if you're in the mountains doing your winter walks, or like cross country skiing, or summer walks, I guess. It's like, it's ingen skam å snu, which means there's no shame in turning around. Because if you keep on going and you get hurt because you get too tired, or, that kind of a thing. So
yes,
I feel it's important to like honor that, because at least my body did not fare so well with like the 11-hour sailing. 6 hours
yeah.
great. And the thing is, I still want to go on a long trip sailing. So this
Hey, that's also something. I mean, this could have just like convinced you that this was a bad idea all around. But I mean, it mostly sounds like just the expectations weren't aligned. And like, if you manage to find a group of people who are like definitely on board with the chill, just like 6 hours or something like that trip, you could still do that, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
let's hope you find a group that agrees on this and then sticks to it,
Or
rather than
maybe
changes their
I'll
mind
just be
halfway
the
through.
captain.
But like, or you're the one calling the shots. Yeah, that's an option as well.
But we're going to have a
So
hard time convincing the pirate princess, because she told us, she did not want to go on this trip. It was going to be boring. And we were like, yes, it's going to be boring, but we're going to explore a lot. And that didn't happen. And like the first week, we were like, well, you have to be on deck. You have to participate in the sailing. This is not an opportunity for you to just like, be on an
do
iPad or be
nothing.
on your screen, because
Yeah.
she hasn't gotten that much time with that before. But then, by the end of the first week, we were like, download however many Disney movies you want and just like watch it. And she also got Duolingo to learn English. And she was in her little cabin, watching movies and doing Duolingo and playing games on her iPad for like hours at end. And I was like, well, wasn't that fun? Like, you've been complaining she hasn't gotten a phone, like we won't give her a smartphone and stuff. And she's like, it's not that fun, Mom, to watch movies all day or be on the iPad all day. And I was like, yes, that is true. And I'm really happy that you've
Well, that's a
now you have that
realization.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. You know. Maybe there's funner things than being tied to a screen.
Mm-hmm. And she loved, so the thing is, I think she loved exploring the harbors. She was
Right.
just like
Yeah.
on fire. And in the one harbor where we had some time, I'm going to include, we can include a link to one of them because Ula and her, they made 4 like little short movies, I think, just using YouTube Shorts that are all
Hmm.
unlisted. But we can include, I'm going to ask her which one. We can include one of them in the show notes because like she was on fire, like creatively. There was this like Viking playground and she was like making up stories and, so we got some of what, that we wanted, just like not enough, for our taste. But yeah. And a neighbor was like, "Are you a little happy you were right?" to our daughter, like.
And what did you reply?
She was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get her to go on my next trip, but maybe I'll be one of those like almost retirees that gets a boat and sails it. But I don't want to go far. I just want to do maybe the Baltic Sea. We met a German couple that had spent 6 months just doing the Baltic Sea, which would be like Estonia, Poland, and up to Finland, and then Sweden, and then Denmark. Just
Right.
and after
Yeah.
like 6 months doing that, I was like, that's now you're talking.
Or you fly somewhere and just rent a boat
Yeah,
there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds like fun. And maybe just wait a couple years until Lillian doesn't want to go on vacation with you anyways anymore, and then just do that.
yeah. So anyway, what have you been up to? Because it's been a month. So I was just packing my house, getting it ready for the carpenter, packing down our bags, getting a neighbor to drive us to the boat, got on the boat, left the boat. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like we also had a pretty or I had pretty busy couple of weeks. I think last time we talked, I mentioned that I was working on our building implementation, and I'm proud to announce that I have made no progress whatsoever ever since.
Slow and steady.
So
Have
yeah,
you been
slow and
steady
steady.
or have you just been slow?
On the billing, I guess at some point I just skipped on it.
Mm,
I think part of it is because Stripe at this point is a super powerful platform, but like super, super confusing. And I think when I started writing the code, I didn't really have a plan on how this would tie into Stripe. And then once I started trying to figure out how this would tie into Stripe, I realized that all of the stuff I had been building wasn't necessarily wrong, but didn't really help me get closer to shipping. And then it took a lot of like reading the docs and playing around with stuff until I finally, hopefully, figured out how the thing is supposed to work. Because I made some assumptions that it would be similar to what we're doing already, but turns out it is not similar at all. And I think by now I have a plan of what I need to be doing, but I have not had the time and energy to actually sit down and do that.
mm.
um,
Yeah, but Stripe has gotten super confusing. Like it's
uh,
gotten so big. And I think it's like it's
exactly.
necessary to cover all the things it needs to cover,
Yeah.
but it's so much to wrap your head around and like what
Yes.
webhook should you use and there's like a million statuses. It's like
Absolutely. Yes.
canceling but not cancel, but it's and then there's the other there's like 3 ways
There's a
to get
million moving pieces, and as I said,
non-active.
you look at the docs and you instantly, depending on what you want to do, like you instantly see like five ways of doing the thing, or like that look like they might be the thing you need to use to get to your goal. But it's not immediately clear which one is the actually best fit for what you're trying to do. And you will probably not even know until you really start experimenting and like trying their simulator and stuff like that to actually see like how everything is behaving, because just from the docs it's sometimes not immediately obvious, like, will I be able to get a subscription period for an unscheduled invoice in the middle of the annual period. Like there's so many unknowns that you can't really answer by the docs. And there's a good chance that your initial pick of like how you want to implement it eventually turns out to be not the one that's actually doing the thing, because like there's some small caveat that you didn't realize until you're down there. But as you said, I guess it's just the
finding
evolution of
active subscriptions I found with Wii is hard, because there's like 3 statuses of active, and then you have like overdue is kind of active because they haven't paid, but they still have a subscription.
Right.
And when does overdue become canceled? And you know, and then you can have a active subscription with a future cancel date. And then like with Wii, you know, we don't want to raise the prices for the people in their last month. Like we only want to do it. And it, yeah, I wrote some gnarly just script code, like nothing that will like continue running in production, that just like looped through every subscription. And I think the only thing I looked for was like, is it canceling, you know, within a month from now or not? If not, we're just raising prices.
Right. Yeah.
Because then you have to move everyone from one price to another price, because you can't just like raise the prices on a price within a product. You have to change. Yes, it's and this, you know, this is why Outseta exists. People who just want to sell memberships and charge money every month and know if a person or an account, I mean, is active or not. Like if it's not active, they don't get access. And that's kind of, and people are like, well, why would you want to set that? You could just do it in Stripe. Yeah, this is
why. Yeah, you can, but like, do you want to actually invest the time and energy to figure it out? Yeah, you can just like take the thing and just use it. Yeah. So, well, again, like didn't make a lot of progress on that, and there's multiple reasons for that, I guess. One of them being that we got a lot of customer support in the last couple of weeks, and surprisingly, a lot of like complicated customer support. Like that's the easy customer support. We can just quickly reply, but for whatever reason, and we're actually trying to figure out what exactly, if there's a pattern or something like that. But a lot of stuff required being escalated to me, so it wasn't something that Mia, who's doing our like first level support, or I want to even say first and second level support, wasn't able to do all of that by herself, so I had to escalate to me, and then some of the stuff was complicated enough that it took a while to actually like dig in and figure out what exactly is going on. And in a couple of cases, we actually found problems that we need to fix. And like, again, like it was a lot of stuff that took my attention away from all of the Stripe stuff as well.
But how long? Because I feel like we had the same thing out at Seta, where it was pretty slow, and then suddenly it like uptick in the last 3 weeks, I would say, would like feel. So maybe like people are experimenting. Is it like slowing down for summer?
Yeah.
So now it's time to experiment, or since we're both seeing it, it's interesting that we're both seeing it.
Yeah, I feel like the last week it was better again, but a couple of weeks before, it's like we have a channel in Slack where like she basically escalates stuff and asks questions about stuff. It's just been a lot of activity, and let's see. Like we're currently like from the first glance, it's nothing like super obvious, but we tasked her with like digging through the stuff and like trying to find patterns. So let's see. Maybe
I mean, sometimes it's just chance, like randomness looks like patterns every now and then.
Yeah, that's true. And that's also the thing that like, I mean, there are a couple of blind spots in our tooling when it comes to like stuff that customer support can do by themselves. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, that's like the stuff that's not automated or that doesn't have any tooling usually wasn't like super critical and like didn't happen a lot. But yeah, maybe it's happening more now, and we need to build some proper tools. Or as you said, it's just the random lumpiness of the stuff, and now stuff's calm again. We'll see. Well, but that took away my focus from the billing. We also have been dealing with a couple database performance issues where stuff is just super slow. And I'm currently working on that basically as we speak. I'm running PG squeeze once again to reorder all the data on the disk to hopefully make access faster. But it's just super slow. I started this morning and I think we're halfway through by now. So it's all like, it's a lot of like waiting and hoping it doesn't mess it up. Yesterday, I tried to do the same thing and underestimated how much additional disk space it needs. So eventually, the database almost collapsed because it did run out of disk space. But yeah, luckily nothing super bad happened. But stuff like that, it's just like annoying, takes a lot of time, isn't really fun, and yeah, just hard, I guess. Hard on my mood. And talking about my mood, what also didn't help was that we lost, I think, our biggest customer in terms of revenue so far. They didn't renew their annual contract, I think, in February, so we kind of knew it was coming. And then stick with us on a monthly plan, surprisingly long, but like in end of May, they finally pulled the plug and canceled their account. So we had there's a decent dip in our MRR chart. And then on top of that, we also had like 2 other relatively big customers cancel because one of them got acquired and the other one just shut down their business. And I was like, yes, it's churn, but like, and it's not nice and sucks. But that type of churn, I'm always like, what can you do about that, right? Like, if
you can't revive their business.
Yeah, well, like there's no point in me trying to sell to you. With the one that got acquired, yes, maybe there's a chance that we will talk them into like moving all of their business to us. But I think the company that bought them also owns like a competitor of us or sort of a similar-ish product. So I was like, this might just not be worth the time and effort. So yeah, that made another dip in our MRR graph, and yeah, it's just like I've been doing this for 7+ years or so, and it's still like my mood is still tied to the MRR chart.
Oh. Time for some true therapy, not just talking to me every other week.
Maybe, yeah.
Your self-worth is not your MRR.
Very true. And on a rational level, I know that, but I mean, I guess at this point, it's not necessarily that I think my self-worth is diminished, but like the stress level just goes up because like you see it going down and you're like, oh, but it will go down forever and it will never ever get back up. And what if like 10 more customers cancel? And like, if this entire thing collapses tomorrow,
there's real consequences for that. Like if that keeps happening.
If that keeps happening, yes. But then again, like looking back at the reasons, sure, that one customer that decided to not renew, maybe there was a chance to salvage that and convince them. And in hindsight, maybe we didn't do a good enough job of doing that. But back then, we looked at their account, we looked at their type of business, and they were not really an ideal customer for us. So it's like, I don't know, like there's some pros and cons, but yeah, well, it still sucks. And yeah, overall, yeah, that just puts up the stress level a little bit. But I hope we will just keep going and MRR will grow back up again, and we just like smooth it out. And then 10 years from now, it will be that tiny little glitch in the otherwise rocket ship.
You might not even see it. You might not even see it on the graph.
Exactly.
The graph.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. The other thing in terms of progress that I didn't cover yet is the redesign project. is coming along nicely. I, at this point, contributed a little bit, like did some polishing here and there, fixed a small thing here and there. But for the most part, it's still Leo doing most of the work. I think it's in a state where, in theory, we could ship it. Like, it wouldn't be a crime to ship it in this state, but there's still, like, it still needs some polish. There's some stuff we want to tweak. There's some flourishes that we want to add and stuff like that. So I feel like we're in the 20% that takes 80% of the time part. But once I'm back from vacation, which I will be going to next week and the week after, I think then it's time to ship it, no matter what state it is in, or like almost no matter what state it is in. If there's a big problem, obviously we're going to fix it. But I don't think we should drag this out much longer, because we can always improve improve the thing as it is now, and not not hold off shipping it just because it doesn't quite look like the design in Figma. So yeah, that's what's been going on over here.
I feel like done. I feel like you got a lot done. I got to Kiel. You got a lot done.
Well, that's quite a distance, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't like I was slacking off or anything, or like didn't get stuff done. It's just not the stuff I planned to get done. So there's that. But yeah, we are definitely busy over here at Userlist.
But I think that's why like these check-ins in a way are good for us too, because sometimes like you didn't do the things you planned and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything because you didn't do any of the planned things. And then you kind of have to make the little summary of what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, or in this case 4 weeks, and it's like, oh, my priorities had to shift, but I actually did important things usually. Or
yeah, that is true. Yeah, we got some we made some progress on important stuff.
Yeah. But that, I felt like that was really nice on the trip, that with, the outset of work is that we are a team. So, midweek last week, I was like, guys, I'm going to be offline until I'm back in Oslo, because, I'm not going to force this. And that was okay. Like that was really good.
Yeah, that is nice.
That, it's not just me and Ola, in charge of this thing where we couldn't have been offline. So that was super helpful for my kind of stress level, where otherwise I would be like sitting in harbor working until like 2:00 at night, trying to fix things before we're going to leave at 6 again. So, and they took it, in great strides. So it's like, yeah, sure. No problem. We're going to take care of, we'll take care of the tickets that usually go to you. And then I'm back and I can, slowly ramp up a little bit to cover the time that I lost. But right. Yeah, it's good to be more people, like you had with Leo the first time you were on vacation, and he could actually, do things that you would have otherwise done. It does take away from the stress. The stress of
Let's
things.
See how it goes when I'm gone again.
Yeah, because you're going to be gone 2 weeks this time, you said.
Yeah, well, I, as usual, like, curse of being an entrepreneur and like running your own business, not traveling without a computer ever. So I might be like, I hopefully don't have to check in, but I will always be able to work on stuff if necessary. But yeah, hopefully I can unplug a little bit.
And most vacations are not in the middle of the ocean where there is no cell phone coverage or possibility to work.
True.
Well, I guess I'll see you in 3 weeks then.
Yes. We'll not be able to make the next recording, but we can record either the week after that, or we just make it 4 weeks again, I guess.
Yeah. Summer schedule.
Well, have a good one, and see you soon.
You too. See you around the interwebs.